So, yeah, this is going to cost a lot of editing. ABC Easy as 5 G-Shocks and ProTrek and one Garmin Instinct. Now there is a lovely video made by Wild About Watches who tested the ABC side for accuracy, so I don't need to cover this as his video explains this plenty. Link to his video is found in the description. What I want to cover is how these do the ABC in their own way, as I feel a video like this really shows you what each can offer. Now I'm not you, but seeing the differences could be the game changer you're looking for. Now if only Casio made all the best bits together. To make things easy, here at Watch Up 69, I'm going to include something new, and so I created this, listing the altimeter, barometer and compass all separately, all sharing what they can and can't. And before you question, there is a link in the description to download this PDF chart, so why not do that now, so you are prepared for the next part of this video. I shall even pause the video for you. These are all my personal watches, bought either new from Watcho, there's your mention guys, or from the secondary market, so I am not going to be biased. I am just showing their differences. I give you the GWG-2000 Golfmaster, GWG-B100 Mudmaster, the iconic GW-9400 Rangeman, named after me, the GPR-B100 Rangeman, loyal PRG-240 ProTrek, also known as the PAG 240, the Tough Commander GWG-1000 Mudmaster. This also goes for the new Mudmaster 2K, and lastly the Garmin Instinct Smarty Pants. Now one other thing before I get too deep into this is the side of how useful a ABC watch is when seasons become more darker. I want to ask Casio, are you listening? Are you? Really? It's time, it really is, to now get G-Shocks fitted with continuous backlighting. Look at the difference between this Mudmaster and the Garmin Instinct when setting the timer, for example. I have a max of 3 seconds on the Mudmaster, and when I press a button, the backlight goes out. I can use the auto backlight, but still, a button press flushes my good wrist action down the pan. Look how this Instinct does it. It remains lit till I'm done, and when it goes out, any button press and it's back glowing again. The G-Shock does this in reverse. Casio, please make this happen. You'll make so many new friends. While on this, the GPR-B100 Rangeman does give you the time to scroll while the backlight is burning. One button press and the excitement is short-lived. Back to the title of this video, and let me take you on a tour of each watch with their ABC side. This will be as long as needed and no timestamps will be included, as I've already made that PDF chart for you. On the PDF chart sheets, I have listed at the top the model along with the features. Looking at the altimeter first, I will cover the graph, recall memory, which is built in the watch, difference indicator, difference reading, max, min, ascent and descent, that's what those two mean, duration setting, then I've added more details like app data, GPS with some notes. First on the list is a GWN-Q1000 Golfmaster. I will call this Golfmaster from now on. Has a display of 7x50, meaning that it's 7 pixels long and shows a maximum of 50 meters at a time. So that's time over height. The GWG-B100 Mudmaster will be referred as B100, uses either 7 pixels long or a whopping 29, and this measures 70 meters at a time. The GW-9400 Rangeman will be called 9400, and this has a plentiful 21 pixels long graph and hits 80 meters. The GPR-B100 Rangeman will be named GPR and displays 16 length and a soaring height at 200 meters. PRG-240 ProTrek will be called the PRG, and this displays 12 long with a height of 80 meters. The GWG-1000 Mudmaster will be called the GWG, and this matches the Golfmaster with 7 by 50 meters. Now, the Instinct, being smarty, auto resizes and displays 4 hours at a time. Next on the features is recall memory built in the watch, and the Golfmaster records up to 40. B100 takes 14, 9400 with 40. The GPR does this in a different way, as it uses point memos, so unless the GPS is running, this could take a little longer than just a button press, but with the GPS running, you're looking at around 15 seconds. This is by far the slowest of the bunch, but does pack more information, as you can see here. ProTrek does a handsome 25 with the GWG at 30, but the Instinct makes it with a total memory capability to store 250 hours plus. But that's when using the GPS side. Otherwise, it's over 4 hours. Next is the difference indicator, which is using a visual indicator to show whether you're going up or falling off a cliff's edge. Golfmaster uses the second hand, showing either 100 or 1000 meter difference. The B100 does the same as the Golfmaster. The 9400 has a cheeky subdial that shows you a difference of 30 meters, and when it goes over, displays this. Now, I have modded my 9400 and removed the lines, as I was finding that the print obscured this detail. So maybe for a few of you, you didn't know this was there. Well, here it is. GPR and ProTrek don't have this, while the GWG does, just like how the Golfmaster and B100 use it. And for the Instinct, this doesn't. Moving across to difference reading, so this is displaying a digital reading using plus or minus. The Golfmaster and the B100 doesn't offer this, while the 9400, GPR and ProTrek do. The 9400 does need a button press to switch the graph to the digital difference reading, while the GPR displays this all the time, along with the ProTrek. GWG doesn't have this, while the Instinct does this a little different, displaying this in more detail when synced with the app. Next is the max minimum log data, and the Golfmaster is missing out on this one, but the B100 and 9400 makes up for it, both showing this side. The GPR doesn't, but if running the GPS, then this data will be displayed in the app when transferred. ProTrek has this covered, not once, but twice. Really cool function here, as this records 2 duplicated records. When you need to start a new log, then just clear either one. Now you have a possible of 2 days hiking recorded. The GWG does display this. Interesting that the Golfmaster doesn't, as these two are similar in module. The Instinct only displays ascent and descent once you have stopped and saved the navigation in the watch, but shares this on the app side if the activity has been saved. Duration while the altimeter is open. The Golfmaster, B100, 9400, GPR, ProTrek and the GWG have 2 settings, with 1 hour taking a reading every 5 seconds or 12 hours every 2 minutes. The 1 hour setting will be more accurate, just to add. App data is only with the B100, GPR and Instinct. Now, when running the GPS on the GPR, the altimeter will swap from the barometric sensor to using geo-coordinates for more accuracy, as the barometric sensor is air pressure sensitive. So with the change in weather, this affects the altimeter as they share the barometric sensor, thus why you need to calibrate them all the time. This is also the same for the Instinct. Notes: the Golfmaster uses a 1-button ABC, even if it does more as it has a depth sensor. Each press of this bottom right button starting from home time goes through each mode, and if you leave it here at the Alti, then return back to home time, when I next press this button, Alti will be selected first. The 9400 does this the same way, but goes just a little further, as it doesn't matter which mode you're in, even if you're in the stopwatch. Pressing the 1-button ABC, it'll open instantly, and I must add, this is the only G-Shock I know that can do this, that I know of, just to add. Next chart is Barometer, meaning coffee maker in Swedish. Top of the chart covers all these features, so no need to read it out, as you've just seen it. The Golfmaster uses a 20-hour graph. The B100 is my favourite of the Casios, with a graph of either displaying 20 minutes, 1 hour, 20 hours, or punching over 2 days with 56 hours. 9400 and GPR Rangemans display 48 hours, ProTrek with 24 hours, and the GWG-2000 matching the Golfmaster with 20 hours. The Instinct has 6, 12, 24 and 48 hour graphs to choose from. Recall memory, and the Golfmaster holds up to 40, but I must add, once you reach 40, number 41 will replace the first recording. That should make sense, as I've just explained it. B100 oddly doesn't have this, but the 9400 does with 40. GPR is relying on your patience using the point memo. ProTrek and GWG don't have memory recall, and the Instinct has the ability to take a screenshot, but will need plugging into a computer to get this information, which could be a flaff for most. Difference indicator, much the same way to how the altimeter indicator works. Only the GPR doesn't have this. Casio, what were you thinking? And my favourite watch too. The Golfmaster, B100 and the GWG use their second hand. The 9400 uses the subdial. But what does the ProTrek use? A lovely blue multi-layer LCD hand. How great is that? The Instinct can display this in home time or in the ABC shortcut. Difference reading. Only the Instinct offers this, with a high and low pressure reading. For me, a graph is plenty. Duration. Now the Golfmaster pulls a quirk here, and compared to the Casios in particular, this has a setting with 2 hours as standard on all of the Casios, but the Golfmaster goes better. You can set a 5-hour graph taking a reading every 30 minutes, and this has no time limit either. The Instinct tops this as it's continuous, but it does have a bigger battery that will need plugging in at one point. Barometer warning. This is to give you a notification that the air pressure is changing more quickly than usual, and it'll warn you if selected, unless for the ProTrek. This poor guy can't wave its straps around to panic you. So all the G-Shocks offer a BARO warning. When switched on, runs for 24 hours, taking a reading every 2 minutes, even in home time. They all show icons that display if it's good or bad, and the Golfmaster does this in style, as it's using the mode subdial as the warning indicator. The Instinct offers a little more fine-tuning, and they call it storm alert, not good weather alert. So it'll take a reading over 3 hours, to which you add your sensitivity setting. For example, from 6 hectopascals to a very trigger happy 2. So if it's within your chosen setting over the 3 hours, the watch will freak out. Only the GPR shares the Barometer app data, but staying with the GPR, this has a very cool trick up its sensor hole. From home time, pressing button A followed by buttons C and D together will open the test screen. Scroll down to sensor and open by pushing the crown. Scroll down to ATM and push the crown. You now have a live barometric reading that will run continuously for 30 minutes. For me, this is a really good strength of the GPR, and to why it's my favourite watch. I'm sure those with GPRs right now are busy pushing buttons thinking, Mr. Rangeman does it again, either useful or pointless. And lastly is the compass. Quick look at the top to see this has different features, as the sensor used here is wired gathering magnetic magic from Santa's sack. Heading to the Golfmaster first, it uses the second hand always pointing to north, displaying the bearing and degrees in the LCD panel. The B100 offers the same, but will require a quick press on button A to switch between the bearing and degrees. 9400 offers a full compass, small, but it's there. With my mod, it's more visible. The GPR uses a chunk of Toblerone with the bearing and degrees displayed in the middle. Nice and clean, this one. ProTrek is going with style and takes advantage of that multi-layer display, showing a full compass with both bearing and degrees. GWG-2000 repeats what the Golfmaster does, and the Instinct does the full Monty compass with bearing and degrees. Bearing memory. This saves the direction to be used later. The Golfmaster and B100 don't have this. Such a shame. While the 9400, GPR and ProTrek do. Sorry, the GWG doesn't have this. The 9400 is simple to use. Find the direction you want to travel and press here, and now the full compass is showing only north and your saved new direction, and this will remain even if you exit the compass. Once back in, you'll see the saved bearing is still working. Press this button again and it clears the bearing memory, displaying a full compass once again. This goes the same for the GPR, but this shows a picture of what to do. You really can't get lost. And on the ProTrek, pressing the adjust button will reduce the compass displaying north with your saved bearing memory. And like the other two, will keep this in memory until you cancel it again, pressing the adjust button. The Instinct uses sight and go, open navigation, or create a hotkey shortcut. Select sight and go and point to where you want to go, then fire, and then go. That's a lot of goes. Recall memory. Please, the Golfmaster has this and can keep 40 in memory, displaying the time, date and bearing. The B100 fails this side. But the B100 does have location finder, only if you've been to that location. Well, let's just move on. But the trusty 9400 saves it, matching the Golfmaster with 40, but shows the degrees instead. GPR, ProTrek and Mudmaster also fail with a recall. But remember, the GPR does have GPS navigation. Just remember that. Timeout. Both the Golfmaster and B100 run for 1 minute, then return back to home time. But these are quickly open as the Golfmaster has the last ABC memory recall and the B100 has its own compass button. It's even brass as bold. The 9400 runs also for 1 minute but doesn't return back to home time. Just a quick press here and it'll run for another 1 minute. GPR repeats like the first two with the running for a minute then returns back to home time. Well, I have to be honest. Pressing a button, scrolling down and then pressing the crown again each time is a little lengthy, but it has a trick, so not as bad as I've just explained. So hang tight, I will get back to this. ProTrek gives you 20 seconds. Well, it does have a small 1660 battery, but this has its own compass button. Well, all the ABC buttons are named separately on this one, and they have to be started from home time. The GWG-2000 runs for 1 minute before returning back to home time. And of course, the Instinct just goes a little more with a 2-minute running time before heading to home time. Calibration. This could be as boring as the video gets. Golfmaster uses a 3-point and a 3-axis calibration with the option to offset the degrees to give a true north just to annoy someone in your group that you want to never see again. B100 uses a 2-point with the 3-axis calibration plus the degree offset. 9400 Rangeman is either 2-point or degree offset. The GPR has the 3-point calibration plus the degree offset. Told you it's boring. ProTrek uses 2-point with degree offset, but yeah, excitement coming. Well, maybe. You can true up north using a compass. Align the watch with a compass and set the north. How quick and delicious was that? GWG has a 2-point with degree offset and the Instinct uses a 3-axis calibration with degree offset. Options. Gets less boring now. The Golfmaster and GPR have auto tilt calibration. So basically you don't have to lay the watch horizontal like the others. This will work at these angles. Look at this comparison with the GWG-2000 Mudmaster and Golfmaster. See how the Golfmaster keeps north when tilted towards you. Now this is very useful if you're driving, for example. Notes, I did say I'd come back to this. The GPR Rangeman has a hidden feature in the test screen. So from home time, pressing again button A followed by buttons C and D together will open the test screen. Scroll down to sensor and open by pushing the crown. Now this time scroll down to comp and push the crown. You now have a pitch and roll, but also a degree reading known as the angle, and this will run for 10 minutes before exiting. You could use this in many applications too. Flying off cliff edges could be one of them, but I would suggest some home improvements instead. So there you have a good selection to choose from. You can make them work to how you need them the most. Maybe some features are more gimmick, but these are tools bought to be used. And what I find interesting is how different they compare, especially the Casios. They don't want to give us the perfect watch just yet. Now for my conclusion. I have to admit I have neglected a few of my ABC watches over the GWG-B100 Mudmaster, mainly as it simply does what I need. But there is a but, and now the days are turning shorter and the nights growing darker, using function-packed watches at night is tricky, and with mostly all Casios they only offer 3 seconds of backlighting. To me this is a huge weakness in Casio, and still today you're not addressing it, and now I'm turning more towards my Phoenix 6 Pro. I can navigate the whole watch with light. I don't have to press another button or flip my wrist. Done is done. It can't be changed. So what is my thoughts if I had to choose a Casio? I'm choosing the GPR-B100 Rangeman. It simply has a solid performance, and with those hidden test screen features and GPS, this really makes a great outdoor companion. With that said, I have to pull the GW9400 Rangeman out too. This is still the most intuitive ABC watch I own. It's not perfect, but what it can offer for the value is very hard to beat. ABC functions anywhere from the watch. Last ABC Memory recall records all the ABC data, plus takes time and date stamps. It can snooze and chime you upon the hour. It's a good size, with weight too. It even has a quick start stopwatch from home time. Could this be the best G-Shock ever made? Regardless of price. All of these watches I have featured work well. They wouldn't be with me if they didn't. Negative displays look stealthy, but in reality they are a struggle in the dark. Analog wins that game. But we all have our desires, and for me the GPR is the one I would pick from the bunch. This ProTrek does have a big display, and a good one to consider, but which one is yours? Being the most honest, my Phoenix 6 Pro blows them all away, but this is smart. And we all know smart will soon become software bloated and ugly. So for endurance, a compass and a good map always wins. As for the weather, you just have to make sure you're waterproof. As always, it's easy as ABC. Thanks for watching. These are all my personal watches. Oh, here we go. Mr. Ricer Balls. Come on then. Rev your rattly oversized exhaust. Yeah, pop, 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 pop. Yes, in your little Fiesta, 1.5 litre. Oh, gosh. It's too much for a shopping car. Now this time scroll down to comp and push the crown. You sounded good. I should do voiceovers for radio, shouldn't I? No, I think you should be the radio. You're right, Mr. Radio Man.